So I want you tonight, since you took the time, and thank you, ask all the questions you want, okay? Because this is a work in progress, and we need all the prayers we can get. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman King, Vice President King.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and echo much of what Councilman Martin and Council President have stated. For the sake of time, just let you know, we are excited about the commissioners we've chosen. We believe they have a great mix of skills that will help in the negotiations and putting together a package that you'll be proud of if this thing comes to pass. As you all know, and I'll say it again, I'm for an independent East Cleveland. I believe we can make it if we buckle down and get this going. So, I don't want to give too much time. Again, thank you for coming out. This is our first of hopefully many meetings, and I look forward to hearing what it is you'd like to see in these negotiations.
That was short for him, guys. Thank you. Also in attendance tonight is the Mayor, Norton himself. If you'd like to take a couple minutes and just kind of update the status of the situation.
Sure. Off the bat, this is council's meeting, and I commend them for putting it together. I certainly have no intent of speaking very long, mainly because my children have curriculum night tonight, and it starts at 6 o'clock. So if you look at a clock, you'll know that I won't speak long at all. I really want to commend our council because the action that they have taken to appoint 3 commissioners and to really request that the city of Cleveland enter into annexation negotiations and talk about a merger with us formally. That is a huge step for any body of elected officials to take. And I just want to commend them. The selection of their commissioners, Council President Wheeler took them through a very thorough process to select what they believe are the best 3, and I think that they have some great picks. The reality is that no society in the history of human civilization has ever made progress by refusing to consider the alternatives available. We're simply doing what a community should do, which is consider an alternative because we're at a spot where we need to consider some alternatives. This is a conversation, and ultimately, it's not in our hands. At the end of this, we will each have one vote. It'll ultimately be decided by you. And from the beginning, I really just wanted to put the question of whether we stay as a single city of East Cleveland or we merge with another community. I really just wanted the voters to be able to answer that question in the end. So hopefully we'll get through this conversation, we'll get through it well. I think everyone is well-intentioned, I think everyone is well-qualified, and I give a lot of credit to our city council for doing what they did because that was not an easy thing for them to do.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what we're going to do tonight is we have a question. Let's start over on this side, lined by the wall. You can ask your question, and then we'll see if we can respond to it. Or suggestion. Yeah, big part.
You said line by the wall, not raise your hand.
Yeah, make it easier by lining up by the wall.
What if you have a comment?
We have comments. Comments, questions, suggestions?
Yes.
But let's have in mind, we don't have a speaker system here, so let's be courteous to everybody, because everybody has the right and entitled to a question. Okay, so.
From here out there.
Just from right there.
Okay, urban reigns here since 1967. My question to the powers that be, what's the drawback considering to have this great nation and help every other country around the world set a precedent in helping East Cleveland? East St. Louis went down like the Titanic. So why can't we go for the government? Don't mess with the state that's paying with your money. Let's go to the heads that got the money. If they got all this money they can let other countries have. There's 5 countries that never paid back this country for the money they got going to war. They never paid it back. So I think home is entitled to some help from that big entity we call the United States government. So let's explore, get some help, because the amount of money that y'all just kick around is chump change to them. They don't talk in millions, they're talking billions. All That's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Mike Smedley, I'm a resident, but I'm also the chief of staff, and I work with the finances of the city on a regular basis, helping to prepare the appropriations for council to consider. There are some particular realities that everyone must face.
We're going to discuss with everybody. 2 minutes.
Well, I should sit down. It's going to take at least 4.
Go ahead. We'll give you 4. We'll give you 4. Go ahead.
Because in handling the commission and asking them to negotiate on your behalf, you need to understand where you are, how you got to the position of handling the commission. And it is simply based off of the numbers. It takes $20 million to run the city efficiently, to have a full police department, a full fire department, a full service department, and to get the services that everyone expects. Period, point blank. Today, we have a $10.5 million budget. That means 50%, almost 50% of our resources are gone to provide services. As Councilman Martin alluded to, $1 million to be cut next year, $2.8 million to be cut in 2018, and $2.8 million in 2019, which means by 2020, there will be $3 million to run a city that takes $20 million. Today, the police department costs $3.6 million to operate on the shoestring staff that they have. So I know everyone wants to compare services. What are you going to do for us? What are they going to do for you? You're in a position where you're going to be making a decision on whether or not you have services at all. By 2020, you won't have a service department, you won't have an EMS service, you won't have a fire department if we decide to simply keep the police department. You won't have a council, you won't have a court, you won't have a law department. Those things will be gone simply because we won't have the resources. Now what I'm saying to you is not something that I picked up from somewhere. It is in the fiscal recovery plan that has been passed into law and approved by the state auditor's office. These cuts are imminent. We have to, by law, make these cuts. And it's not because of who manages the money, it's simply because the resources continue to decrease. This town was built for 40,000, there's 17,000. More than half of the city is empty. More than half. There's 5,000 people who have jobs. 25% of that makes over $35,000 a year. 43% of East Clevelanders live in poverty. Those are realities that you cannot escape. So when you talk about empowering the commission to negotiate, what you're negotiating for is whether or not you're going to have service, whether or not an ambulance is going to pick you up or not, whether or not someone who breaks in your house can sit there knowing that maybe the sheriff's department is going to prove it, whether or not the streetlights are actually going to come on. These are the stark realities that must be dealt with, that must be examined. And this commission's job, at the core of it, you can add all the beautiful things you want. A CDC, a sit-down restaurant, a grocery store, all the stuff that you want to ask. But if you don't have the core, you will not have services. And the core is, how much does it cost for Cleveland to provide services? How much revenue does the city generate? And can the state fill the gap? That is the core of the discussion. And if you don't get to that, you don't get to that quick, then this is all for naught. And Cleveland isn't going to lose. They're going to continue to operate. That's 350,000 people to 17,000. 58 square miles to 3.2 square miles. About $1 million budget by 2019, $3.1 million. Their public works department